Welcome to chapter 32 of the book of Job. Elihu speaks in anger. I'll read a little bit of the Greek and then we'll go into the chapter. Ησύχασαν δε και οι τρεις φίλοι ούτω έτι αν τεπήν Iob, εγκάρ Iob δικαίος εναντίον αυτόν. And they were quiet, and his three friends no longer contradicted Job, for Job was as a just one before them. So everything that we had before with all of these three friends talking and relating things about Job, why he has gone through all these problems, has now ended, and we meet a new person. In verse 2 it begins, was provoked to anger, and Elihu was provoked to anger. He was the son of Varachiel, the Vuzites, Buzite from the King James, from out of the kin of Aram, of the place of Asis in the King James, and the Greek Asitidos. And Aram is an area that is north of Lebanon, most of Syria, up into Turkey. Aramaeans were the people that at the time of Jesus had developed their language, Aramaic, which Jesus spoke. He didn't speak Hebrew because we have the quotations in the Greek Bible, but they're not in Greek. They are transliterated Aramaic words. So this Elihu, now we see here now he's going to speak in chapter 32 to 37, and then God will reply in 38 to 40 verse 2, then Job in verse 40, verses 3 to 5, chapter 40, verses 3 to 5, then God in chapter 46 to 41, then finally Job in chapter 42, verses 1 to 6, and then finally God in chapter 42, 7 to the end of the book. So that's what we have in the future. So now we have 3 or 4 chapters of this man speaking. What kind of man was he? Well, we'll see here a little bit. And it says, and he was provoked to anger against Job exceedingly. It doesn't say he was a king or anybody like that. We really know nothing about him except where he was from. For he sentenced himself as a just one himself. That would be, he was provoked to anger against Job because Job sentenced himself as a just one before the Lord. But even against the three friends, he was provoked to anger exceedingly, for they were not able to answer contrary to Job, and that they established him, Job, to be an impious one. And Elihu waited to give an answer to Job, for they were older than he in days. And Elihu saw that there was not an answer in the mouths of the three men, and his anger was enraged. And undertaking Elihu, the son of Varachiel, the Vuziti, said, for as much as I am younger in time, and you are older, therefore I was still, and fearing to announce to you the higher knowledge of myself. Now, does he really have a higher knowledge? And what is a higher knowledge? I have a friend who thinks he has a higher knowledge. He is, basically, as far as the higher knowledge, in chapter 38:4, it says about the higher knowledge, God says, where were you in my laying the foundation of the earth? And report to me if you should have knowledge of understanding. And then later, the three men were condemned in 42 verse 9 by God, but not Elihu wasn't mentioned. So how he comes in here, I'm not exactly sure. But the higher knowledge that he has, like I said, I had a friend that claims he has a higher knowledge. Well, he might, but how do you know if somebody really does have the higher knowledge? Well, he gets his knowledge from going to the library. He doesn't have a cell phone or a computer, and he goes to the library, which the whole upper floor is all novels, and the basement or the bottom floor will have he gets his information probably from a 1929 Funkin' Wagnalls encyclopedia. And lives in a one-room hovel, sleeps on the ground, no refrigerator or microwave. Everything is overgrown around the house, no car, no Medicare. As far as I know, he's never made anything, but yet he claims he knows has a higher knowledge when I talk to him. Well, I think you can tell if a person has higher knowledge by how successful they are somewhat. If a person builds a beautiful house and invents certain things to design it and to build it that nobody else has, that's a higher knowledge. Now, there's a lot of people that have common knowledge. I probably have common knowledge myself, maybe a little higher knowledge as far as the Greek Bible goes, but that would be about it. And probably have lesser knowledge on a lot of other subjects like mathematics and just about everything else. And so this man is claiming to have this higher knowledge, Elihu. And it continues in verse 7, and I said, it is not time for speaking, and in many years men have not known wisdom. Well, yeah, that's true. But there is a spirit in mortals, and the breath of the Almighty is the one teaching. Well, I like that. There is a spirit or a breath, pneuma, could be breath. And breath here, pneui, the related words, 41, 51, and 57. And I mentioned earlier another chapter how this usage of here, the pneui, is more of a breathing, and the pneuma can be a spirit also, or a breath, or a wind. Talks about the holy pneuma, agios pneuma. No place that I know of is there a agios pneui. And this is the breath. Pneuma is more than just a breath. There's more to it. In verse 9 it continues, the long-lived are not wise as such, nor do the aged know equity. So just because you're old doesn't mean you're wise. God can allow a lot of foolish people to live to old age. Nor do the aged know equity. They don't make good decisions. Therefore I said, hear me, and I will announce to you what I know. So here you can add this word to your English derivatives book, polychronii. Poly is much or many, long, and time, chronii, long-lived. Therefore I said, hear me, and I will announce to you what I know. Give ear to my sayings, for I will speak of your hearing, as far of which time you should examine the words, and until you shall perceive. And behold, there was not one reproving Job in answering his words from you. So he's talking to the three men, and there was nothing that was fulfilled answering the words of Job. And that you should not say, we found wisdom being added by the Lord, or we have this higher knowledge. He's kind of putting them down, the three men. And you commissioned man to speak such words. Now the you here is God, or they, and then he says, and they were terrified. So it could be I didn't look this up. I should have if it's singular or plural. But they were terrified is definitely plural, and they answered not any longer. Words were old coming from them. I waited, for I spoke not, he says, Elihu, for they stood, and they answered not. And undertaking, Elihu says, again I shall speak, for I am full of words. For the wind of the belly destroys me. Once he's relating to how he needs to talk to his passing gas. It's kind of a strange figure, but it is what it is. And my belly is as if a leather bag of sweet new wine bubbling, being tied up, and as if the bellows of a brazier tearing forth. Wants to speak. I will speak, that I shall rest myself by opening my lips. For in no way shall I be shamed by man, and in fact, nor in any way shall I shame a mortal, for I know not to admire a person. But if not, even moths shall devour me if I do take sides of a person. And this is what Jesus was. He didn't admire a person. He spoke it as he saw it, and this is more or less what Elihu is saying. Now, I'm not saying Elihu is a Christ-like person or not. We'll have to find out more as we go through in our next chapter 33, our next video seminar. I hope you join us then and find out what Elihu proposes to these people in Job. Till the next time, God bless.